Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today I'm going to talk about the simple pleasures of life, because in all of this hustle bustle of modern world, it is all too easy for us to overlook those simple things that bring us joy and fulfillment in life on our life journey. We get caught up in the chaos of every day, don't we? And funnily enough, even amongst the chaos of life, there are small moments of happiness that we can delve into, which will bring us joy, which will, even out, give us equilibrium in our life journey for just a brief moment in time and make life much more happy and enjoyable. Now, these can be from the mundane to the grandiose, but whatever it is, seek out those simple pleasures because they make life a little easier. Now, I'm going to share with you today the 7 simple pleasures which help me navigate through my life journey. Now, the first tip I have for you for enjoying the simple pleasures of life is to seek out some solitude. Just a moment of solitude, because the world is full of noise and distraction, much of which I would say is mostly of our own making. So finding some peace and some solitude can be a rare and precious gift in a life of hustle. And for me, one of the things I enjoy doing is just taking a moment, just taking myself away from groups of people or others and finding some simple solitude. Not loneliness, but solitude. Solitude is chosen loneliness, if you want to call it like that. And it can be something as simple as just taking a stroll, taking a little walk. It can be just closing your eyes and taking just a brief moment of calm to yourself. Maybe just take a few breaths. If you're in a crowded environment and you just need that simple moment of solitude, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and it can really be a grounding experience. Reminds you of who you are, why you're there, and what your intended plan going forward can be. It can help you recharge and, repair yourself for the moment that you're about to face. Now, I seek out moments of solitude all the time. I'm quite lucky and able to do that because, I often come walking in the woods. But even when I worked in an office environment, when I was amongst other people, and I enjoyed being amongst them, but I know for my soul, I needed to spend a little bit of time each day on my own. So I'd eat my meal at lunchtime and go out for a walk. Even if it was only 10 minutes, walking around the block of the office, it was enough to have that grounding sensation. So for me, one of my simple pleasures of life is solitude. Now, my second simple pleasure is a really simple one, and it's about having a shave every day. Now, recently, I've always enjoyed shaving. I should say that for a start. Always enjoyed it. It's part of a daily ritual which wakes me up and cheers me up first thing in the morning. But it was really brought to life the value of a good shave when I was reading a long-forgotten, out-of-print memoir by a World War II British general called Lieutenant General Sir Brian Horrocks. All right, and he wrote a book. It must be in the 1960s or something, he wrote it. But within the book, I was just reading it the other day, and he wrote this little passage here, which I will read to you, and it's taken from a time when it was in the 1930s, late 1930s, and he'd just been placed in charge of a battalion of men, so about 600 to 800 men. And basically, this is what he said. I don't think I made a very good first impression on the men of the battalion, because I roundly abused them for being unshaven. I could almost see them saying to themselves, "Here we go, another one of these spit and polish blimps we've got here." Nevertheless, I insisted, and this is not as stupid as it sounds. The one thing which is always in short supply in a battle is sleep, and the refreshing effect of a shave is worth at least 2 hours of sleep to a man. Moreover, if a man keeps himself clean, he will almost certainly keep his weapon clean, and this is vital. What an interesting take from General Horrocks. And when I read that, I thought to myself, I utterly agree. You know, if I felt groggy, if I had a really bad night's sleep and I just really don't want to get up, I will have a shave and it will perk me up. It will enliven me for the day ahead. So for me, a simple pleasure in life is finding the 10 minutes every morning that it takes to have a nice double-edged razor shave. And I would add a little more to that. It's not just the shave, it's the addition of a fragrance as well. Because when I put a nice zesty fragrance on, it brings a bit more zing to my day. It enlivens me, it cheers me up, it adds to my mood. If I want to feel strong and powerful, I will wear something of a powerhouse fragrance. If I want to just feel light and airy, I will wear something of a citrus-based fragrance. So a shave with some fragrance, a bit of cologne, wow, now that is a simple pleasure of life. Now my third simple pleasure that I find joy in is laughter with other people. All right, because laughter has the magical ability to uplift us, to bring a little joy into our day, to make the mundane seem a little more interesting. And for the modern chap, laughter can be all too absent from our lifestyles. You know, if you've got a busy job, a high-powered job, you've got a lot going on, you rush home from work, you've got children, you've got a partner who might be out working, so you'll have to make dinner. You're always catching up to life. And laughter is one of the first things which becomes absent from a person's life. They forget the value of laughter in one's world. It really builds bonds and relationships with others. Now for a gentleman, for a chap, the way we tend to have laughter, we might go to the bar, to the pub, and you're amongst like-minded people perhaps, you can have a joke over the news or current affairs. If you play sport, you often have a bit of fun with the people you're playing football or golf or whatever with. You can tell jokes amongst yourselves. Any number of places like that. You know, if you have a meal with your buddies, you can have a bit of banter. These are the things which people often overlook in their lives. When life gets too serious, when life gets too full, we overlook the value of laughter. Now, if in your life you can't remember the last time you laughed, maybe none of those situations are prevalent anymore. You might not play organised sport with your mates. You might not go to the pub. You might not have meals with your friends, colleagues and acquaintances as you used to when you were younger. Maybe this is a time to take a bit of a life audit and make time for laughter in your life, because it's a simple pleasure, which is not just a commodity, it's an essential. Now, my fourth simple pleasure that really helps me in my life journey is my connection with nature. Because, I mean, you know, we live in a world where human beings are increasingly living urban lifestyles. We work in offices. We focus our socializing in, clubs, cinemas, bars, and they all tend to be in urban environments. We are more often amongst a concrete jungle than the splendors of nature. But actually, being amongst nature is one of the most primeval parts of humanity. Our species' origin is within nature. We were, depending on where you're from in the world, you might have, your forebears, your ancestors might have, spent their time in the forest. They might have spent them time on the seashores. It depends where you're from. But nature was part of the human experience up until the last 100 years or so, where we've all gravitated to cities and the urban environment. I find that being amongst nature is an incredibly grounding experience. And I tell you, for one thing, it reminds us that we are not the center of the universe. We can all get caught up in this feeling that everything's about me. I'm the most important thing in my little world. But actually, when you're amongst nature, as I am now, as I often find myself, I'm looking at the world around me. I am looking at nature changing constantly. At the moment, we're transitioning from winter into spring. I can see the cow parsley starting to push up through the earth. I can see daffodils and crocuses and snowdrops. They're all starting to show nature's wondrous chorus of colour all over again. There is rebirth as the season changes. And it reminds me, whatever's happening in my life, whatever trials and tribulations I'm facing, nature will go on. The world will continue. It will continue on its journey from season to season, whether I'm here or not. And it reminds me the world isn't all about me. It's a much more big and wondrous thing. Now, you can enjoy nature in your own way. It can just be going for a walk in the park, seeing the trees, seeing the birds, hearing the sounds of nature. It can be trekking in the mountains. It can be paddling a canoe down, the Amazon River. Whatever connecting with nature means. It could be just stepping out into your garden at night, looking up and seeing the stars and remembering that you are but a particle of dust in the universe around us. That is a connection with nature. It reminds us of our place. And when we have that connection, it's grounding, it helps us stay true to ourselves. It's a simple pleasure of life. Now, my next tip for you to enjoy the simple things of life is make something. Just make something. Be responsible for the creation of something around you. Because in these days, we live this magical world, don't we? Where if we want something, we just type a few keys into a computer and the magic Amazon man will appear within 24 hours and we are given it. And, we lose a lot of our practicality because our possessions come to us so easily. We don't really have to earn things in the way that people used to. If we look back at the previous generations, my father, my grandfather, their generation, they were so much more practical men. If they needed something or wanted something for the family, first of all, their first thought would be, can I make it? And if they can't make it, they would learn to make it. In this day and age, I hear stories of people who have to ring up to get somebody to come and change a light bulb for them. Now, when I say make something, it doesn't have to be something super complicated. All right, I know I'm not a skilled guy. I can't make complex things. But it can be something like growing a plant in your garden or your window box if you live in an apartment or a flat. You can grow a flower. You can grow something to eat. It will give you that sense of achievement, of tangible creation of something in this world. For me, my simple pleasures, right now I'll be honest, I'm an unskilled guy, all right? I'm going to put that right out there now. I'm not that good with my hands, not compared to my dad, who, when I was a child, I remember him making the windows for our house because, we couldn't afford to buy them. So he made them. But for me, in my little world, I like to make simple things. This table, which sits next to me here, I made that, all right? It's really simple, but I made it with just a saw and a screwdriver. I put it together and I use it all the time and it brings me pleasure. All of the furniture which I have in Oak Lodge, my little hut here to the side of me, the bed in there, the stool that I sit on, the table, all of these things, I made them. Now they are super elementary. Most people would look at them and think, a child made it. But I made it, and it brings me an inordinate amount of pleasure to make simple little things with my hands. It gives me a payback for my time and my effort. So from a simple pleasure point of view, make something because you'll feel a sense of achievement which is really felt by ordering up something on Amazon or some other online platform. When you've made it yourself, you will love it in a way which you can't get by buying it. Now, my next simple pleasure is a short and simple one, and I'm sure we can all resonate with this. It is occasional comfort food is good for the soul. Because, we live in a world where I can't help but look on social media and I'm bombarded with wellness and clean eating advice and how terrible it is to eat carbohydrates and I have to eat, liquefied seaweed and all these sort of things. And it can make you feel guilty for eating simple, pleasurable food. But occasionally, just occasionally mind, I'm not recommending eating like this all the time, but occasionally there is a simple pleasure in having a dirty burger or a filthy fling with a pizza. Just simple, honest to goodness, dirty food, because it invokes a sense of nostalgia, perhaps when we were children and we enjoyed a burger from time to time. We shouldn't feel guilt about having the odd bit of junk food. My kinky pleasure is a Chinese meal. I love Chinese food, and you know, even though sometimes you might feel as if you shouldn't, you have to, because that simple pleasure of a bit of old-fashioned comfort food just makes life a far more enjoyable place. Just make sure it's just an occasional treat and not a part of one's daily diet, and it'll work out just fine for you. Now, my final simple pleasure is one which we can all indulge in, and it's certainly mine, and it is I begin the day with a fresh cup of tea. Now, if you don't drink tea, you can, employ a cup of coffee here, freshly brewed coffee, because life is going to be very busy, very quick. When I start my day, I know I've only got a short period of time to have breakfast. There's calm, there is relaxing period of solitude, and all of a sudden, the day is off and running like a sprinter. But that beginning, that simple ritual in the morning of brewing a cup of tea and sitting there and enjoying it, soaking in the pleasure of the aroma, the taste, the warmth, the comfort-giving qualities of that first cup of tea of the day is something which sets the tone for my day. I contemplate my day and I indulge in the relaxing feeling of that simple cup of tea. It really starts my day just right for me. There's nothing like the first one, or cup of coffee, or whatever you may choose to start your day. It's a simple pleasure. And actually, sometimes during the day, when things are getting a bit too rushy, I just need to take a break and have a cup of tea and settle it all down again. Rebuild the equilibrium which I started at the beginning of the day with that first cup of tea. It's a simple pleasure, but oh my word, I could not make it through the day without that brew. So there we go. Those were my 7 simple pleasures which helped me navigate through my life journey. I hope some of those resonated with you. Maybe yours are totally different. Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear what gets you through your day. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, click subscribe. If you'd like to join me on the journey, you can even become a patron. I make additional video content for my patrons each and every week. If you want to practically support the channel, you can buy me a coffee and help me start my day with that contemplation. So until the next time, take care, and I will see you again very soon.